Salut! You are an artist living in France or planning to move to France, and you are wondering how to declare your artistic activity. You've been searching on the web and you probably feel more confused now than when you started. You've heard about micro-entrepreneur, you're wondering whether that might work for you. You might have heard also about artiste libre and have no clue what this is referring to. In this video, I'm going to be covering the specific setup for artists in France. I'm going to cover the difference between artists and other businesses. I'll explain whether you need a visa to register as an artist, what are the tax regimes that are available to you, who you relate to, and how to register your activity. So let's get started. Let's start by the basics. In France, an artist is someone who's creating a unique piece of art, and this could be a painting, sculpture, book, a play, music. I won't cover the royalties here in this video because it's another matter, but I want you to see the difference between what we consider in France as being a normal business and an artist. So you have to be careful. For instance, some activities in France are actually considered as manual and relating to artisanat. So for instance, let's say I make some pottery pieces, they're unique pieces, and I sell them in a gallery. I'm an artist. And then conversely, if I've designed a series of pottery pieces, and then I'm producing them in large quantities in my own shop, then I'm a designer, I'm an artisan. I actually make the pottery and sell it. It's an artisan. Another example is, for instance, a photographer. If I take family portraits, this is seen as a commercial activity that is competing with other businesses. And again, this is seen as an artisan. I have to register as an artisan. Conversely, if I'm taking some unique pictures for an exhibition, for photo shoot in the fashion sector or for the food sector, for instance, this is an artist. I can register as an artist. And the last one is, for instance, someone who says, I'm an artist, I make jewelry pieces. If you make jewelry pieces, but you sell many quantities of the same thing on Etsy or an e-commerce website, it's seen as a normal business, it's seen as artisan. And in France, actually, we have something called, which could be confusing, which is called artisan d'art. That's not a business setup. It's someone who's actually registered as an artisan, but who get recognized for the quality of their work, and they have a specific qualification or specific title called artisan d'art. Now, if you have a doubt whether your activity is going to be considered artistic or more like a standard business in France, then describe your activity in the comment below, and I will confirm to you whether we're going to go for an artistic setup or whether we're going to go for a standard business. The second matter that I want to cover with you is whether you need to have a visa in order to register as an artist. Now, as for any other businesses in France, if you're a European citizen, you can just use your passport or your national ID card in order to register as an artist in France. Now, if you're a non-European citizen, you might actually consider applying for a specific visa as an artist called Visa Talent Profession Artistique, also called Renommée Nationale ou international. So basically, this is a specific visa talent that is recognizing existing artists abroad who want to come and live in France and develop their art or share the art with the French public. So this is a specific visa that you might be considering applying if you're from the US, Australia, or South Africa. But be careful, we really are looking for people who are recognized in their own country for their artistic field, their artistic experience. If this is you, you will be applying for this visa from your own country before you move to France. And in order to get ready for this, I would recommend that you prepare a project that is going to be looking a bit like a business plan with a portfolio of your work, a motivation letter, support letters from galleries, businesses, or non-profit associations who are likely to support you once you move to France. And you want to emphasize in your cover letter on how France may benefit from your art or how you can mix with the local community and the local culture. Now, the good news about this specific visa is, as an artist, you're expected to earn a lower income than a normal business, for instance, like a profession libérale for someone wanting to work as a consultant. You will need to prove that you will have savings or that you will generate some income through your artistic activity of at least 70% the SMIC. So SMIC is the minimum wage in France. And in 2024, the SMIC per month net, meaning after taxes, is 1,398 euros, and gross it's 1,766 euros. So that's Gross is before I take any social charges, and net is after social charges. So bear this in mind when we're going to be talking about taxes later on. This video is recorded in 2024. If you watch it in the future, just double check what is the SMIC monthly or yearly in France, because it's updated pretty much every year. So check what is the SMIC rate in the year that you are watching this video. Another very important thing to consider if you want to apply for this talent artiste is that you will need to generate at least 51% of your income through your future artistic structure, through your artistic activity. This is very important to actually get the visa validated, but also to get the visa renewed later on. So my advice is spend some time to look at where is your income going to come from. If it's definitely artistic and you're recognized in your country for your art, then apply for this visa. If you think, well, actually, I'm going to do some art, but also I'm going to do some consultancy work, and actually the consultancy work might generate more income, in that case, go for the visa professionnel libéral, for the standard business, because be careful, the visa talent artiste won't enable you to register a normal business after. So if you go for this one, you are an artist, you're going to go for the business setup that I'm going to be talking later on. Now, who do you relate to as an artist in France? If you watch my other video, I always emphasize on the fact that you need to know who is the body you relate to and who do you have to pay social charges or income tax to, so at least you know which letters you have to pay attention to and the one that you can ignore. So as an artist in France, you're going to be relating to URSSAF. That's the body you're going to be listed with, and this is the body you will be paying your social charges to. You might have heard some articles talking about artiste libre. It's a word that's been there for years. I don't know why, but basically, artiste libre just means you're like a free artist, I suppose. So it just means you're an artist. It doesn't correspond to any kind of legal structures. It doesn't correspond to any kind of tax regime. So if you hear artiste libre, just say, okay, Valerie told me, okay, this just means artist. So now let me look at the tax regime I'm going to be looking at. So you are relating to URSSAF. And this is who you're going to be paying your social charges to. Now, you might have heard also that all businesses registration have to go through INPI, and this is true for artists as well. So you're going to be registering with them, but before you jump in and go and register your activity, make sure you don't tick random boxes until you've watched the end of this video, because I see many people who tick the wrong boxes or tick the wrong regimes, and then they're rejected, or their tax regime is just completely different from what they were expecting. So to summarize your setup as an artist, you're going to be relating to URSSAF, meaning that this body is the body you will be paying your social charges to. This is going to go towards your health cover, your French pension, not great, and the French system. And your health cover, provided being an artist is your main activity, will be handled by a body called Sécurité sociale des artistes auteurs. Just know that that body changed its name in 2022. It used to be two bodies called AGESA and Maison des Artistes. So you're very likely to hear about that. If you have friends who registered in the past, they might say, oh, I'm relating to AGESA or I'm relating to Maison des Artistes. It's because in the past, whether you were in plastic art, whether you're writing, that's the description of your activity, which meant that you were relating to AGESA or Maison des Artistes. The good news is that in December 2022, they regrouped the two together, and now it's just Sécurité sociale des artistes auteurs, so they're handling your health cover. We are now into the nitty-gritty of the social charges that you will pay as an artist. Just know that in France, artists benefit from lower social charges than other businesses, and this is a way for France to support artists and the cultural sector. The social charges for artists in France is about 12.3%, and the base on which we're going to be calculating those social charges differ based on the regime that you choose. So regime just means you've decided what is going to be the base for your taxes. And we have two regimes to choose from. The first one is Micro BNC Non professionnel, and I will detail it in a moment. And the second one is called Régime Réel Simplifié. And if I summarize, basically, with Micro BNC, the state is going to be applying a standard rebate on your sales, and then the 12.3% social charges will be applied on the remaining amount. That's the simplest regime, super easy to create, super easy to manage. The second one is Régime Réel Simplifié, and with this one, we're going to take your sales minus all your running expenses, which gives us your profit, and the 12.3% social charges would be applied on your profit. With the Micro BNC regime, basically what you will have to do is once a year you will have to file a one-page form to yourself where you will declare how much you've sold. Last year I've sold 20, 30, 40,000 euros of painting. And URSAF will apply a standard rebate of 34%. Full stop, they assume that's what your running expenses are. So basically, they take the remaining 66% of your sales and then they apply the 12.3% of social charges. That's how it works. Now you can see that in the meantime, you're going to have a full year of activity, but URSAF won't be able to know how much you've made until next year, because basically that declaration, you make it about February, March time, they send you a form through the post, you enter your turnover, you send it back to them, they calculate your taxes, and then they ask you to pay the social charges. So what happens in the meantime is that France uses what we call appel de cotisation, or a call for social charges, which means that once you start your activity, because they don't know how much you're going to be making, basically they expect you to pay on a quarterly basis about 400 euros to go towards your social charges. So every quarter you go online on your account with URSAF and you validate the payment for that 400 euros to go towards your social charges. And then once we finish the calendar year, because the financial year for artists is 1st of January to 31st of December, once you finish your calendar year, URSAF sends you that form to fill in, but expect that basically they're not going to ask for the right amount until probably May time. So you're filling the form, you return it to them, and then they see, okay, you've already paid to us. Let's say you've done the full year, so you've paid 4 times 400, and then they see when they do the calculation that actually you owe them an extra 400 euros. So in June next year, they will ask for that lump sum money. Now the second regime is called Régime Réel Simplifié, and I explained that for this one, basically, URSAF will look at your profits. So you'll have to do a more detailed declaration, and for this one, you will use an accountant. It will be a déclaration simplifiée, but they will need more information as to your actual sales and your actual cost. And based on your profit, they will apply that 12.3% of social charges. And it's the same as what I said before for the Micro BNC. You will have a call for social charges, appel de cotisation, where you start paying 400 euros. And when you fill in the declaration with the accountant, a couple of months later, URSAF will say, okay, you owe us, or we owe you some money if you've underpaid or overpaid. So this is how the social charges are working. I would say, how do you make the difference between the two? I would say if it's your first time in France, you've just arrived in France, you're setting up and you're going to develop your activity, Micro BNC is just easier and smoother because it's super simple. You can manage it on your own. You don't need an accountant. It's feasible and it's a first step in the system. I would do this provided your expenses are fairly low. So you work from home, you don't have lots of expenses of material to buy. On the opposite, if you actually have a gallery or you have to buy lots of canvas and painting, and if you're doing photo shoot for the fashion sector and you need to have other professionals to come and work with you, in that case, I would go for Régime Réel Simplifié in order to be able to claim back all those expenses. Now, just know that as your business develops in the future, so the artist here is a sole trader, it's like entreprise individuelle, it's under your name. But if your activity really booms, you might also go later on into a French incorporated business. I'm going to go through the French income tax form, explaining it very simply so you have a whole idea about your taxes as an artist in France. I'll be very brief about this. So basically, as an artist, there's no option to actually pay your income tax at source as some employees do in France or as some businesses do, like the micro entrepreneur. What's going to happen is that you will declare once a year the income that you've earned, and basically the income that you're earning this year between the 1st of January and the 31st of December, you will declare it in May next year in your French income tax form called Impôt sur le revenu. I will add a link below the video where you can watch my video on how does the French income tax work if you really want to fry your brain at this level. But basically, as an artist, you will declare how much you've sold. And if you're under Réel Simplifié, as we've seen, the tax office will take the profit to decide that this is your business income. And if you went for the Micro BNC regime, you will enter your sales and the tax office will apply, not you, the tax office will apply a rebate of 34%. And basically, they will assume that 66% of your Sales is your business or your artistic income. And then basically they will add your other sources of income. If your other half is working or if your other half has a business, they will add all of this. But for the full detail, you can watch my video on how French income tax works. You've made it till the end, bravo! I hope that now you have a better understanding of how artists are declared in France, how the taxation work, and that you know which regime you're going to go for, whether you're going to go for the Micro BNC or whether you're going to go for the Réel Simplifié. As I mentioned earlier, artists have to register with INPI, and I strongly recommend that you don't pick up random boxes or random regimes. So if you want my help, I will add a link below the video with my registration form. It's a service that I provide where I'm going to create your activity, I'm going to create your INPI account, handle the registration with yourself and choose the right boxes so you have your business papers and you have your serial number ready to start and work and invoice. If you want my help to register your activity as an artist, then check the link below the video, fill in your details, and in the comment, describe what you are doing, and also write artist registration with a description of your activity so I can ensure that it does fit the artist setup. Voilà, c'est tout pour aujourd'hui. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you can get more news on how to create and run a business or artist activity in France. À bientôt, salut!